All right, now it looks much better. So thank you very much for waiting. And again, I would like to warmly welcome you to today's webinar, where we touch the topic, Be Ready, Your Access to the Implementation of EN 17352. Just please let me shortly introduce myself. My name is Tobias Johnston, and I'm one of the responsible key account managers in the field of building automation. So I'm already in touch with all kind of entrance solutions on a daily basis. And for sure, the EN 17352 is one of the most discussed topics at the moment as well. All right, so let's start. Please follow me through the webinar journey. And let's start by having a look on this wonderful picture. It's wonderful not only because you can see the Dunkermotoren company building. It's also wonderful from my perspective because you can see how rural we live here in Bondorf, a small Black Forest village, how you can probably recognize in the back of it. Why am I showing you this picture today? Because it's actually a good example of that this village is not really touching one of the biggest megatrends having an influence on our business at the moment. Because if we think about the leading megatrend, and it clearly is urbanization, it's not about Bondorf, it's rather about big cities, as you can see here, Shanghai. Big skyscrapers, a lot of traffic, a lot of people trying to reach their places, and certainly areas where you need automation in order to get along with such a crowded place. Just if we think about train, metros, all kind of public transportation, where cities ask themselves, how can we manage that the people which are allowed to go to certain areas get the access? So it's about automized access control. But also in big and shared office buildings, we see that such buildings need automized processes to ensure that only those people get to the areas which are allowed to. And at the moment, and let's say, rather since a few months, we see that there is another topic really having an impact. If we think of the lack of personnel, which was a big problem after the, or let's say at the post-pandemic start or restart at the airports, we all had maybe some experience where we had a big waiting time simply because personnel was not there to help us through the security checks, etc. And that's one good example where automized immigration, for instance, could help us to, let's say, cover the lack of personnel. So in total, we see surely a continuously growth for the topic of entrance solutions, which is good for us as Dunkermotoren, but hopefully also for you, the attendees of companies where you build such entrance solutions. But it's not only about the demands which increase. We surely see that safety standards increase as well, and that's the reason why we are here together. We maybe already have heard that the EN 17352 has shortly been announced last year. And it's a norm being covering, let's say, power-operated pedestrian entrance control equipment, or how we know it, the turnstiles, swing lanes, or retractable lanes. And the norm in general is about safety aspects, and we will dig in deeper in a few minutes. But first, please let me give you a short overview of Dunkermotoren and the organization before we move forward. So I'm here responsible for Dunkermotoren and working for Dunkermotoren. But as you can see on this slide, we belong to Ametec, a big American business being responsible for $6 billion. So we're a quite big organization, which allows us to growth in the way we plan and have the product portfolio which we need to cover, for instance, solutions for such norms. And coming back to Dunkermotoren, I want to show you in which business areas we are active. And this slide will be important later to understand why Dunkermotoren already has certain knowledge in order to provide safety solutions. Because as you can see here on this slide, the industrial automation is one of our biggest businesses, and I will explain you later why this is important to understand when talking about the safety norm. Furthermore, for sure, we have a healthcare and motive segment where automation is also important. And as you can see, the building area, and that's where, let's say my home is, where we take care of the daily questions. But let's move forward in better understand how to solve the norm. And one reason for that, or let's say one explanation for the success and how we can help you, is clearly the modular system. That's our basis of our success for decades now. And because it simply describes that we at Dunkermotoren do not develop one drive unit for the one specific application. No, we prefer to develop each components and then make sure that you can easily configure them that together with our customers to find the best possible solution. So we have different motors which you can attach to all kind of gearboxes. You can decide if you want to have an integrated or external control unit. And last but not least, if an attachment like an encoder or a brake is needed. That's all about the general information. Let's move forward. Let's start with the first question, how to apply the Dunkermotoren portfolio and on access gates. And let's say our company name is Dunkermotoren. You would think it's all and mainly about motors, but actually it always starts with the question, which is the right gearbox? And that's a matter of the entrance solution. Why that? If we take this access gate as an example, it's a question of how is the drive oriented. In this case, we have a vertical drive orientation. So the drive is tubular mounted and therefore limited by the inner diameter of the tube. For such cases, we have our planetary gearbox series in the diameter available from 22 millimeters up to 95. And in, let's say, almost every case, find a fitting size for your application. Other gates rather prefer to have a horizontal drive orientation because they are mounting the motor drive unit in a flat cabinet. So, and then it's sure and logic that it's limited by the width of the cabinet. And for such cases, you would require an angular gearbox. And here we have different solutions. It's the upper one is a bevel gearbox, or we could also provide you a worm gearbox. And in both cases, we have a big benefit by using a zero offset gearbox. What is zero offset? You all know that we have an output shaft coming from the motor entering into the gearbox. And then again, we have an output shaft of the gearbox. And what the zero offset solution ensures is that the level of the gearbox output shaft and the motor output shaft, they are equal. So same level, no offset, and therefore no waste of space. So we have slim solutions for your applications, and this allows you to have a wonderful design. In other cases, if we have a look on a revolving door or maybe a safety door, we again have horizontal drive orientation, and the drives are mounted in the headrail. As you can see, we are not really limited by in width, but limited in height. In such cases, we could then go for a gearbox which has offset, and I hope you can now understand what is meant with the offset. So we are not limited in width, so that does not really bother us. Only the height, and as we can simply turn the drive by 90 degrees, that could be a perfect match for you. And in this, let's say, variant is also saving some costs on your side. If we again have a look on another type of entrance solution, we here see a turnstile, and here in most cases we have horizontal drive orientation as well. And here we have high requirements on acceleration or emergency stop torque. And for such cases, we have high torque planetary gearbox, and that's allowing us simply to cover and meet all your requirements. Now it's getting a little more specific. What if you have special requirements? We all have been touching an access gate before, where the wings do the typical 90-degree movement. And when remaining in a closed position, and you touch the wing, it might be that you have this wobbling effect. So the gate is moving a little, and some get the impression that it could be a lack of quality, but in most cases, it's actually the backlash of the mechanics. And one way to help or to improve the backlash is to simply consider improved backlash, which is in most cases only on request. We have a solution for that by simply considering higher precision gears in the last stage, and then latestly, hopefully, meet your requirements. And then last but not least, if we talk about gearboxes, we also need to take in consideration if we talk about an escape or an emergency route, because for these cases, you need to consider a reversible gearbox. So reversible simply means that you are able to open the door manually. Doesn't matter when powered or not powered. Yeah, just imagine you would like to leave a burning house or burning building. You need to be able to open the gates to get out of the building. And that's what our planetary gearbox simply offer you, because they have a high efficiency. But what most people do not know, worm gearboxes can also be reversible. So we have a high efficiency in low gear ratios, a lower efficiency in higher gear ratios, but we also have optimized gears for the worm gearboxes available to simply allow you having reversible worm gearboxes as well. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we have discussed several options for a gearbox. Let's come to a very important topic, which is the right motor. And as you can see on this slide, we have, let's say, mainly two different motor technologies. We have the brushless DC motors on the one side, which we call the BG series, and we have the brushed DC motor on the other side, which we call the GR series. And again, it's really a question of your entrance solution. So if you have, let's say, a simple gate, maybe for a retail application where you have not the, let's say, highest number of lifetime cycles, a GR motor would perfectly fit. You do not have too many functionalities. The lifetime expectation is not too high. The GR motor will cover above 1 million cycles and is a perfect match. If we get, let's say, to the more modern access gates, where you also want to have a certain functionality and maybe safety, and we will talk about that, the BG series, our brushless motors, might be your perfect choice. Because we have integrated solutions for the motor control unit, but also external, and this technology really allows us to realize safety functionalities, and I will explain you how this works in detail afterwards. So as soon as we have decided which motor shall be chosen, we can move forward to the last questions of components to be chosen, and it is about, do we need an encoder for maybe perfect movement behavior, or do we need a brake in order to make sure that the gate remains in a certain position? I already was talking about a smart motor. What about a smart motor? So for us, for our understanding, a smart motor is a motor which either has a motor controller integrated directly in the motor, as you can see on this picture, or alternatively, the motor controller can also be provided as an external solution, but still offering you a smart motor. In any case, we have different connectivity, either via Profinet, Ethernet IP, or EtherCAT. But from my personal experience, I can tell that CANopen is still the most common connectivity for building applications and especially for the entrance solutions. In any case, or let's say not depending on external or integrated version, we can offer you safety, such as safe talk off, directly on the board, so you do not need to have another gadget for that. And all of our solutions are free programmable in C. So either you can write your software or we can help you as a development service to write a motion code, but I will explain that as well. Okay, I told you, either choose integrated solutions or external motor controllers, but which one is the best choice for you? Well, talking about the integrated one, you have the big benefit and advantage at the end, that the motor control unit is directly integrated into the motor. Means you have less wiring, and for your production, it's an easy installation. If that is not really, let's say, the must-have requirement, you can also choose an external control unit. And which are the advantages for such cases? Just imagine you have different products in your portfolio. Here we have a turnstile and a swing lane, for instance, and we know you need different motor sizes, okay? And one benefit of an external control unit could be that you can use same motor control unit for different motor sizes. Furthermore, if you would develop functionalities on the external control unit, you could also use those functionalities for our GR series. So they have been considered in the development as well. And last but not least, we have scenarios where we replaced a competitor's motor, and the requirement was to have a retrofit solution. So our customers wanted to make sure if they now switch to our motor and our control unit, and certainly work and develop on further functionalities, they wanted to ensure that they can use these functionalities also for their solutions in the field. And we surely support that philosophy by making sure that our control unit can also control the motors of our competitors. So this at the end means you have a one platform solution for all your gates, or let's say all entrance solutions. All right, I have been mentioning the motion code a couple of times. So motion code is for us software which enables you to have an automatic change of behavior or configuration. Means you can either let's say react on CAN input, on bus communication, or also on digital inputs. So you tell us how the motor should behave and we could realize that. This allows us to do certain diagnostics within the motor and then being able to message you to tell you this motor value has been changing, or the other value gives us a certain, let's say, understanding of what is happening, which enables you to create services. Services such as condition monitoring, what we already offer today, and that is clearly a trend. You have the, let's say, the frequent revenues, and that's, let's say, a trend on the entrance solution market we clearly see. And condition monitoring is just being, let's say, our starting point as well for services, because what clearly could be a solution as well is offering you predictive maintenance based on the condition monitoring we already have in place. Just to give you an idea about that. So the question is, who can benefit from motion code? So it's either the way that you say, okay, you have a lack of resources, or you want to participate of the experience Dunkermotoren has already gained. We simply say, keep calm and we do it for you. So you can ask us to do software development for you to make sure that the motor exactly behaves as you have requested us to do. The other solution, which we also support, is do it yourself. We offer you the tools, the understanding of the motors to be able to write your own motion code. Or it could be both at the end. You order a motion code at Dunkermotoren, we offer you the open source afterwards, and you could then simply work on adjustments, extensions, whatsoever. So it's really a playground for both sides. All right, now we have a drive unit, but how does that help me to comply to the EN 17352? Let's dig in deeper. But before that, I would like to kindly ask you to maybe in the background start slido.com, which is an interactive platform. And if you enter the hashtag webinar-Dunkermotoren, you can help us to get some feedback. You can, let's say, interactively join the webinar now latestly. And we would like to, there we are asking some questions about your experience with the norm. And later at the end of the presentation, we can jointly have a look on the answers. And don't worry, it's absolutely anonymously. So please share your thoughts on that. Okay, let's talk about the norm. We already said it's not only the demands that are increasing, we also see that the safety standards increase as well. So we had a look on this norm, or let's say the brief sentence already. So what do you need to consider when you choose a drive unit which shall comply with the EN 17352? What we see in the norm and how we understand it is there are 3 chapters which you need to consider. So 3 potential solutions for it. On the one side, we have the low energy mode. So it's about a maximum kinetic energy which is defined. And this maximum kinetic energy might influence the speed which is allowed. Furthermore, we see the chapter functional safety. So it's about safety-related parts which are defined, which are part of the control systems, where you need to consider, let's say, certain behavior or certain standards. I will explain you later. And there you, for sure, then have a minimum performance level defined in order to comply to the norm. Last but not least, but if you remember, we already touched that one. If in case of escape routes, you need to ensure that you can manually open the access gate. And it really does not matter whether the gate is powered or not powered. And if you, let's say, paid attention, you know, simply consider gearboxes with high efficiency rate, and then you will always be able to do so. So let's dig in deeper into low energy mode and afterwards functional safety. So the question is, how can Dunkermotoren support me on the low energy mode? As I already said, there is a maximum kinetic energy defined. I highlighted it in this slide, where you can see that the kinetic energy shall not exceed 1.69 joule. So how can Dunkermotoren now support on this topic? In the norm, there are several products described and considered. What we believe is one of the most common is the rotating device. And you see the norm is highlighting different formulas. And we just want to give you one example of how our support might really help you. So looking at the rotating device, we see that we have typically this 90-degree movement of a wing. So it's about the inertia of this wing. For this example, we simply defined there is a hub which is holding the flap. The hub has 1 kilogram, the flap has 4 kilograms, and the formula would simply help us to come to the result that the wing has an inertia of 0.33 something kilograms per square meter. So, but again, where does Dunkermotoren step in and support? And that's where we clearly need to separate the formula, because the beginning of the formula, that's clearly your competence. It's the customer's competence because you are building the wing. But you need to consider the motor's inertia as well, and also the gearbox. And I can show you that we today already consider the rotor's inertia in our catalog or in our specification. So you can simply take this value for your calculation. But also for the gearboxes, we have the calculations already, let's say, finalized. We have the data. Just get in touch with us if you need it for your calculation. So we simply want to, let's say, move forward in the formula, considering one of our drive units as an example, where we have already given the inertia of the wing. We recognize that we also have given the inertia of the motor, and the planetary gearbox is also showing us the inertia already. If we have a look now on those three values, we can also see that the most impact is coming from the wing. So if you need to adjust and improve, if you pay attention when choosing the wing, maybe material, either glass or polycarbonate, that is really helping you to meet the requirements. So considering those values, we know that the 1.69 joule shall not be exceeded. So the next question is, how can we find out what is the angular velocity allowed, the maximum angular velocity? So it's again simply mathematics, entering the formula, and this allows us to get to the result that there is a maximum angular velocity of 1.739 rad per second allowed, which equals 16.61 RPM. If we now have a look into this chart, the kinetic energy chart, where we have been mentioning the inertia and the velocity in RPM, we see if we consider the inertia which we have calculated, we are only allowed to apply a maximum speed of 16.61 RPM. This does also mean if by physics you cannot exclude that your gate could run faster at any time, you would need to consider further safety features to ensure let's say, such scenarios that the gate will automatically stop torque being applied. And it also shows us if you want to have a faster moving wing, you need to reduce the inertia, maybe by changing material. Okay, so I hope this was clear to you. So the next question is, how can Dunkermotoren support me in regards of functional safety? So let's come back to the norm, EN 17352. And what we see in the norm is that there is a category 2 defined and a performance level D according to another norm, EN 13849-1. And that's if now the point where I have asked you pay attention to the businesses where we are working on, because the EN 13849 is defined for the safety of machinery. And that's clearly a daily topic for the industrial automation. And that's also one reason why we started working on safety functionalities within our products. So let's get to the next question, how to achieve this required performance level. The performance level is always an indicator for safety. Okay, so the performance level is at the end the ability of safety-related parts to perform a safety function. So the safety functions can be, let's say, differentiated from low A to a high value E. And how do you now, let's say, find out which performance level is reached? And that's at the end a question of different topics. So if you start to find out, you need to answer the first question, what is the severity of the injury? So how bad are you getting hurt? The next question would be, what is the frequency of exposure to danger? So how long and how often are you in danger? before then answering the question, what is the possibility of avoiding a hazard or limiting the damage? So is it possible to avoid or limiting the danger? And this all brings us to the result that performance level D is being required within this norm. Okay, so what about the category? The category is the resistance against failure and required behavior in case of an error of the safety required part. But what is this category at the end depending on? This safety of machinery norm is showing that it's a question of different aspects. What we see, or let's say what we are confronted with many times, is the mean time to dangerous failures. So really the question, what is the mean time to a failure which could really be dangerous to a person? And this is leading us to the answer on all these requirements, because what we at Dunkermotoren offer you is safe talk off. And we always highlight STO, which is a common wording, let's say, coming from the safety of machinery norm. So it is a safe stop at the end. If we have a look at the motor, and you see the output shaft is turning, and suddenly the motor or the control board gets the information from let's say, a monitoring system that STO needs to be activated. Means the motor generates no torque anymore. So the motor simply runs out. Just to give you an example, maybe we can compare it with a car. You see somebody in front of you, you would immediately push the clutch, and you do not add further torque, but simply you still have a moving car. And if needed, standstill can be realized with a brake. A big benefit of the products at Dunkermotoren is that logic supply still remains, even if safe talk off is activated. That's not the case in, let's say, in comparable products. So talking about safe talk off, that's really the basis for further functional safety functions. Just giving you some examples. If you want to realize safe stop, safe limited speed, or where it really becomes interesting for access gate, safe limited torque, you always need safe torque as well. Because the features below, they are more about safe monitoring, but in order to enable the function, you always need safe torque off. What does STO mean at Dunkermotoren? At Dunkermotoren, we are safety approved and being complying to performance level D and category 3. So if we again have a look into the norm, we see the category 2 is given, we even over exceed, and performance level D is also matching to the requirement. And we can say that our STO functionality is complying to SEAL 2. But wait a second, what is SEAL now? So if we take a look deeper, SEAL is simply coming from another norm. It's about the safety integrity level rated from 1 to 4, and we comply to SEAL 2. And to give you an understanding where in which products do we realize and offer STO, you simply can remember that the D Pro series is considering safe torque off. So either for the motors with integrated control unit, or you consider our BGE, which allows it for, let's say, a higher variety of motors. And currently, we are working on a solution for BG45 in the D Pro version. And based on my experience, I clearly see a big potential for this type of motor because we have a high power density in a very small motor, so should be a perfect solution for the access gates. So how would you then recognize that one of our products has STO? Simply take a look on the label, and there highlighted in red, you can see the FS001 which simply equals functional safety. And if you see that, you can be sure that Safe Talk Off is been considered in the product. If you are requesting more detailed feedback on our safety functionalities, please have a look on our website where you can find either the safety manual or even safety certificates if you need that at TÜV. And or in any case, please get in touch with me personally. We can have a chat, and maybe I can even help you with your topics. All right, then. So this was mainly what I wanted to show you in today's webinar, but I would be very curious now to have a look at Slido. Simply, what were your answers in Slido? And my colleague Janina would now simply overshare my screen so that we could jointly have a look on that. Okay, so the first question was, are you already compliant with the new standards? And yeah, we can see the 4 participants was giving us their opinion, and one was in progress, the other no experience so far. So simply highlighting for me, you are, let's say, at the right place at the moment, because I hope we could share the impression that we already gained some experience. So if you believe we can further help you, please get in touch with us. I will again share my contact details after our webinar. Okay, and we see no statement on our question if we see that norm also being required at, let's say, global projects. Maybe we will find out after the webinar. Okay, so once again, thank you very much for joining today's webinar. I will share my details. Please get in touch with us if there are any questions. And if not, you will find all the information also available on our website. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Goodbye.